Tuesday.
Haikuzo. Makasi ni watafute uongozi pamoja wasitafute.
Barabara ya kutoka Maralal kwenda Opiroi. Itoke Opiroi iende Bartiloi. Mnasema tuendelee na hiyo barabara?
We cannot say that as ODM we just want to be there. We want power.
Roads and ports and harbors will start giving the private sector the benefits of lower cost of doing business and logistics capability of the country.
Dr. Mwangi further adds that the projects, which are spread throughout the country, allow Kenya to move as an ecosystem through a development approach.
Hopefully in 5 years, half of the food production in the country would be under irrigation. Food self-sufficiency is an issue of dignity.
I will explain to Kenyans that for the first time, we are creating two funds in this country. One is what we call the Sovereign Wealth Fund for us and the future. And we are also creating what we are calling National Infrastructure Fund, where we are going to make sure that all the receipts and the proceeds of privatization will be put in that fund. We are not going to use it to finance salaries, recurrent expenditure. We will put it in an infrastructure fund and support only commercially viable infrastructure projects. I will take my time to explain to Kenyans we must think differently. If we continue thinking that there is money with IMF and World Bank to develop our country, there is no international finances anymore.
Here in the streets today to tell the people of Kenya to not accept the lies that are being peddled, that they're overtaxing us to repay foreign debt. A government that is spending 12 billion Kenya shillings on domestic travel alone a year, you cannot come and tell us that they don't have 4 billion Kenya shillings to finance intern doctors.
Police are being used every single day there is demonstration. It's total violence. But trust to me, no youth here is carrying any weapon. We are just coming to speak out what we feel.
All right, hello there, people of the internet. My name is Ruto Jagero, and this is Political Headache coming to you not at 7:30 as we have agreed. We were having some problems and challenges today, and we have decided to start a little bit late, and we apologize for that. I want to ask people who are coming in to just Mr. Fidel Ongoya is saying here to stay. This is, you know, we need you at the at the Red Ring Media. He's saying, okay, really can't. He's saying, hello, people of the internet. Really can't. You were supposed to see me on Tuesday. I really can't. What happened on Tuesday? Okay, Fidel Ongoya is saying, what a show, what a moment. Thank you very much for coming in. Heide Jirongo is saying, good morning, people of the internet. Okay, Caroline is saying, Jagero, you are late and we apologize. Okay, Ratengo is saying, good evening, Jagero. Good evening, people of the internet watching from Nakuru. Thank you very much and welcome to the program. Waziri 317 is saying, good evening. Really kind of saying the stage is set for political temperature. And we're going to be talking about political temperature, by the way. Fidel Ongoya is coming back and saying, Bultinagayo, yeah. I don't know what he's saying, but I believe he's talking in Duluo. Austin Savala is saying, Jagero, hii mambo ya 8 p.m. bana. Hey, kuja mapema. We apologize, people of the internet. Say hi to Simiyu, Caroline Musungu. Say hi to Simiyu, my guy.
Yeah. I realize she's my good fan.
She's your good fan. Okay.
Yeah.
Enoch is saying, hello there, people of the internet. My name is Ruto and this is Political. Surely, do you have to say what I have said? Okay, we are welcoming people. Why is Mbadi Akanyang shouting? Okay, we have Ogochi is saying likes. Kelvin is saying good job on the edit. Obunga, good job on the edit. Jagero wapi tai bwana? Kwani siku kila siku kwani tai moja? Mimi niko na mbili tu. Kila siku.
People of the internet to donate tai.
Yeah, bwana. We know we have got a lot of people with money on this internet.
Yes.
Lakini sioni mikono. Sasa hii mikono ya Wakenya bwana imekwaje bwana?
We are doing good job.
Good people of the internet. Okay, so let's talk about the issues that are happening. People of the internet, we're going to be talking about the infrastructure fund.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that we are also going to be touching on is the Singapore dream. We have never really understood it. I'm going to ask Ochuk about the Singapore dream. I'm going to ask Joachim about the Singapore dream. And I want to welcome them. Joachim Simiyu is the SG Safina Party of Kenya, the man with the first agenda, the man that believes that for Kenya to go forward, we need to tackle 5 issues. Can you name them without saying anything? Just name one. Number 1?
Auditing debt before paying.
Okay, number 2?
No domestic borrowing.
No domestic borrowing. Number 3?
Free public funded education.
Public funded education. Number 4?
Public funded healthcare.
Number 5?
Reduction of VAT from 16% and replace it with 5% sales tax.
Great. So that is that.
Yeah.
We have Mwalimu on my left. Yes. I think people are seeing my right. People of the internet think I'm seeing my right. We have Mwalimu, Mr. Umundi Ochuka. Umundi Ochuka, where is your book? Can somebody get me Umundi Ochuka's book, please?
From the other part.
Yeah, man, Umundi Ochuka, I want to see people of the internet, the man that is speaking. Umundi is an economist. He's a university teacher, teaches economics. And what else does he do? He loves women.
That's very scandalous.
That's a career for every man.
That's a career for every man. That's very
most
good.
men who show tendencies of not loving women, they end up being psychopaths.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
even when the police are doing investigations into either serial killing, very smart conning.
Okay.
It's about men who are not usually very entangled with women.
Yeah, because the other day they were really talking about Fuentes, and Fuentes said that he's never touched a woman in his life.
Fuentes who?
Fuentes is a very divisive figure in the United States. Extremely divisive
that's
figure.
a dangerous.
In the manosphere award, or
he's both in the manosphere, he's in politics,
in the MAGA.
I think he's MAGA.
Yes,
MAGA is left
yes.
or right?
I think
that's right.
Is he gay?
Huh?
No, he's not.
Then he's more dangerous.
He's more dangerous. So I think that is it. So that is Umundi Ochuka. Please give us the bag so that we can get the book.
It's inside the book. Just open.
It's not a man's bag. It's not a woman's bag. Just get into the that one. Mind the wires, please. You can give it just here. Yes. So people of the internet, this is Ochuka's book. I think you can see it. Ubunga, can I have the camera on me? The camera is on me, yeah. So this is Precasa, the unfolding. The man has written a beautiful, beautiful book, okay, that all of you guys need to, and he looks really handsome in the book. I'm not sure whether I am on the camera, but these people, there we go. I am actually in the camera. So that is Umundi Ochuka.
This is the book.
Yeah, we want to start. We want to start with the political temperature.
Yes.
Joachim, you told me that
a governor
today had to run to his car. Can you tell us what is really going on in the governor community?
I think governors have started seeing themselves as a gift to humanity. They have started seeing themselves as people who are not supposed to be asked questions.
Okay.
Or whenever you try to ask questions, you should ask questions in a manner that does not offend them. Because in their own eyes, they are big people in our society. But one thing they forget, the bone of contention in all this is the public funds. And in the Senate, the biggest job of Senate is oversight in counties. There we have a committee in the Senate called the Public Accounts Committee, which has Moses Ojwang as the chairperson. It has
Moses Kajwang.
Moses Kajwang. It has the firebrand Sifuna. It has Eddie Okech. It has Richard Onyonka. These are people who ask questions to the governors about their use of public funds.
Okay.
For example, if your county received 18 billion in the last financial year, they want to understand how did you use the money. The governors of late have been complaining of harassment and witch hunt. In law, there is something called, there's a principle of whoever avers must prove.
Okay.
So if the governors are saying about witch hunt, then they must be able to prove that the questions we are being asked are not about accountability. It's about politics and settling scores. But again, the senators responded, and more so the senator for Nairobi, who said that most governors are coming with the documents that are embarrassing, because governors had said that the Senate is embarrassing them. That some documents are so embarrassing that when you tell a governor to read his own document, he pretends to have forgotten their reading glasses
at home.
At home. So one of the senators with the reading glasses donates the glasses to the governor so that he can be able to see their own document. And there was a press statement the other day by the Council of Governors, led by the governor of Marsabit. The irony of it is that the governor of Marsabit was the one reading the statement by the Council of Governors saying that they will not appear before the public.
I saw the lanky, tall gentleman.
Yes.
And look like all his money is in his link.
Yes, yes. So that now began to be the bone of contention, and them appearing in court, in the Senate, is not something they choose. It's a constitutional requirement. And you see, the Senate was given, is a quasi-judicial entity, the level of the High Court. So when you are summoned by the Senate and you fail to appear, it amounts to contempt of court order. So this governor, I think the one from Samburu, he had been summoned to appear today, but he was playing tricks on the senators. So he had to be frog-marched into the chambers. And you could see how the governor of Nairobi grabbed him by the arm and frog-marched, and there was fracas. Bodyguard wa governor akasukuma Sifuna, akasukuma Onyonka. Mbio imekuwa mingi.
Kabisa. And just for the sake of the people of the internet, they need to understand. If you go to politicalheadache.co.ke, we actually took the entire constitution and used AI to break it down completely, and it is searchable.
Yes.
So right now I've just gone to the constitution and searched on the word devolution, and what pops us is the principles of devolved government.
Yes.
County government established under this constitution shall reflect the following principles. County government shall be based on democratic principles and the separation of powers. County government shall be reliable sources of revenue to enable them to govern and deliver services effectively, and no more than 2/3 of the members of representative bodies in each county government shall be of the same gender. So those are some of the things. And the problem that I think everybody in Kenya is now waking up to is the fact that they are not actually reliable sources of revenue that enables the county government themselves, the devolved units, to govern and deliver services effectively.
Let me read to you.
Read for me, please.
How much money was allocated to Samburu?
Okay.
And how much money was allocated to the office of the governor of Samburu? So I want to have a look here. It is somewhere here. He is one of the 43 counties
that were flagged
by the Auditor General.
Okay.
To have allocated more than 10% or close to 15% of the budget just to their offices and to run their offices. This document is hiding. I don't know where it is.
We will find it. As you're looking for it, I want to ask Mr. Omondio Chuka to say hi to the people of the internet and tell us, what do you think about the issue of governance and the things that are rising right now? Because it looks like suddenly the Senate has actually woken up and is saying, look, we had a duty to make sure that you guys are governing the devolved units properly. Apparently, you are not doing it. And somebody came up with the idea, and I think it is Raila Odinga, who sort of was talking to the government and everybody involved. I don't know how that was, that governors are not supposed to be called to the Senate. You remember that thing?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
You were saying that the MCAs are the ones who are supposed to be holding governors accountable.
But is that the law?
No.
That's not
in
the
essence, he has a point in essence, but by law, it's actually the senators who actually do the oversight.
Because if we cannot have the MCAs of Kisumu County telling Nyong'o what to do.
Yes.
We cannot have the MCs in Mandera telling a Mandera governor who has been elected by the elders in Mandera to talk to them about the issues of governance. You cannot go to Mabia and talk to Nyasuna Wanga. An MC in front of Nyasuna Wanga, it's like a fly.
They cannot survive. They cannot survive.
Yeah, go ahead.
The governors, I think the bigger issue coming up is the country is waking up to its full apparatus of what devolution actually means. And we are no longer so much focused on the national apex where we have the presidency and executive delivering the vision of the country. So we are finally seeing how important, if devolution and the devolved units and services and provisions actually can work for people, then we can actually make the biggest leap as a country. And for that to happen, governors have to be accountable. The only problem that is coming up, and I think it's what Joachim has also mentioned, governors have often felt that they are very executive in sense, and therefore they're almost above the law. And at some point, I think they even see themselves even better than senators.
At one point, they asked for immunity from prosecution.
And you see, when somebody already has been moving towards that language, it means that, one, they don't want to be accountable, and they want to rule by fiat. In other words, you can spend as much money, you can divert so much.
What is ruling by fiat in English?
Ruling by fiat is
by thorax.
By thorax. And it's something, because most of the governors have accumulated so much money that the MCA or the county assemblies are already in their pockets, either by intimidation or by coercion or by corruption. So sometimes you find that the level of adjudication that comes from MCAs is not reaching them properly. And therefore, even the bills that are supposed to be tabled within county assemblies are not reaching to the right channels. And that is how most county governments are failing to deliver on their promises to the people. And now they're using a law to hide behind from being prosecuted, which is not a prosecution per se, because PSC, the Public Accounts Committee, is not actually prosecuting these people. They are oversighting.
Yes.
They are saying...
They are seeking clarity.
Yeah, they are seeking clarity. These are some of the issues that the Controller of Budget or the Auditor General has flagged.
Yes.
Could you please
come...
What
do you have to say
about them? And while you're doing that, could you please come with the books so that when you're saying something, you have an evidence to back it up? That is not prosecution.
It's not.
That is seeking clarity.
Yes.
And I think that is everybody doing their job. In fact, you as a governor, you would be doing the most honorable thing when you appear.
Actually, I think it's the governors who should be asking the senators. I would like to make
an appearance
about the last financial year, just like Makueni Governor Kivutha Kibwana used to do. But the kind of problem that we have is that we have people who think they are the law unto themselves. Because most of the monies that are being allocated to the office of the governor, in most cases, I think it's they are meant to buy off people who can ask questions. Because at some point, MCS used to hold governors at ransom.
Yes.
MCS could decline to approve the budget.
And the county will be paralyzed.
Yes, and the country could be, they don't approve even salaries and all that. So that becomes a problem. And so the governors devised a new way of dealing with that kind of problem. And according to them, they thought if we share the loot with the MCS, then it will be okay. Today, we don't see that kind of behavior. And look at the people who are ascending to being members of parliament from these counties. You realize that from the county government leadership, you realize that the Speaker of the County Assembly
oftentimes
becomes a member of parliament. He has enough money to buy. Then
after having stolen.
Yes. Then the chair of the accounts committee within the county government.
SEC Finance.
CEC Finance. And then when you go to sub-counties, you get the chairperson of the CDF fund. So that gives you the pattern of who is having their hands into the coffers, who is getting access to the public funds. And I think one of the things we should adopt is that we should have a mandatory lifestyle audit of a governor after every term. That you came in as a governor when your net worth was $1 billion. 5 years as governor, you are worth 15 billion. Could you please make us understand how you amassed the extra 14? And that, I think, will put a cap on the extravagance we are witnessing.
I think sometimes that is very difficult because anybody that you're going to ask to go after the governor is actually somebody like the governor. So I find that there is because, for example, Ruto the other day was praising Wanga as one of the best governors. And you're looking at the president and you're wondering, I mean, what are you talking about?
The basis of the president referring to the governor of Homa Bay as best is not pegged on whether she's prudent in managing resources. It's pegged on she's being the loudest in defense of his
patronizing his presidency.
Yes,
but that's not what Ruto was saying.
No, that is essence what he's saying.
That's the essence.
Yes,
the political narrative.
But if you were to take him for his word, what exactly is he saying? He's saying that she's the best. She's the best in terms of developing the county. Because that's exactly what he was saying.
And
so even though we know what he is doing, but you look at the leaders that you think are going to be on the forefront.
Look at the developments the governors are being praised for. One, successfully building the governor's residence. Two, building the county headquarters.
Actually, those are the top two, yes.
When you go to the former governor of Turkana, Nanok's home, the one he built while he was governor, it's like a state house in Turkana, where people die and they expect to be given relief food. But their governor lives like a CEO of Apple.
The governor of Lamu has dedicated 1.1 million for I don't know, it's for meat, a very special meat.
For a special meat?
Yes.
For game meat.
Yes.
Yangamia.
Game meat.
I'm not so sure what kind of meat that is.
Game
that
meat.
would cost 1 million.
Game meat is swara.
Before we get into the Kenya National Infrastructure Fund and the issue of Singapore Dream, what is the state of the country right now, Joaquim? We have Linda Mwananchi, we have Kalonzo Musyoka, we have Wamunyoro, we have Matiang'i. Matiang'i today was in a funeral. You are telling me something that I don't want to repeat because a lot of people are calling Matiang'i's hardcore fans are very unhappy with Odhiambo.
Okay.
Because Odhiambo, in their words, is pissing on Matiang'i's candidature.
You see?
No, don't go to Matiang'i, please. Don't go to Matiang'i. I just want you to give me the political temperature because going to Matiang'i
the general overview.
Yes.
Is to ask the Kenyan people to understand one thing, that favorite candidate of yours that you would defend at any time, the biggest question is why? Is it because you come from the same region? Is it because they have attributes you admire? Is it because they represent what you want to be? You see, like for example, if you support Rigathi Gachagua, The biggest question is why Rigathi Gachagua of all the people? What is in Rigathi that is not in Kalonzo? What is in Kalonzo that is not in Matiang'i? So that before the biggest fans of Matiang'i come here to ask Odhiambo questions, they should think about what is Odhiambo saying about Matiang'i. How truthful can it be? Because if we just blindly bind our emotions on a candidate without really interrogating what they represent, what we are most likely to achieve when they get to power, then we are losing the point. You remember when President Ruto was running for office, I used to campaign for Raila Odinga at Archives in Nairobi here. Then I used to ask one question. That you, the people who want to vote for President Ruto, tell me one thing that we are proud of as a country, courtesy of William Ruto's efforts. None of them could tell me. So, who among our members of the opposition is having the same question and cannot answer? Because today there was a funeral in Mount Kenya, and I saw President Uhuru, I saw Matiang'i, I saw Kalonzo was there, right? I saw Martha Karua, and the president talked about unity, that we want a united country. But I think we should always be interrogating this question. What is threatening our unity? Why do we feel like our unity is threatened to an extent that a former president stands up to talk about it? And even as we yearn to unite, what is uniting us? It has to be unity of purpose. When you see buffaloes walking in a herd, in a group, it's not because buffaloes love each other. No. It's because when they walk in a group, they scare the predators, cheetah, lion, and all that. So what is it that is scaring us that will make us, as the people of Kenya, the problem that is a problem to everyone regardless of where you are coming from, that can bring this homogeneous community together? And some people are also asking us within Safina Party, are you going to join United Opposition? We are saying we have no problem. But on what point are we uniting on? Is it on the basis that wewe unatoka Bungoma na huyu anatoka Nyeri, so let's come together, combine the votes, then go against this one? We might end up sending him home and achieve that big dream. And I have said this countless times, that this unity on tribes, we can achieve the primary objective of what we want. We can send Ruto home. Then that becomes the only achievement we ever get. Because now, after sending Ruto home, we find ourselves in the problem that Ruto found himself in when he was sworn in 2022.
What is that problem?
He behaved like a person whose plan was to win an election, not to run a country. Because for you, the plan to win an election is not the same as the plan to run a country. The plan to win an election is to convert the people who are supporting you to be convinced to go and vote for you. But to run a country, you have to have deliverables. That the campaign promise becomes a reality in your time in office. So I keep on repeating that. Why are we saying Ruto must go? Why are we saying one term? What do we seek to do in his absence as president? When the votes are cast and Ethicon announces that Ruto has lost and someone else is being sworn in, what is our expectation? What will be our reaction 3 months after that election? Because I'm no longer looking at 2027. I'm imagining the kind of Kenya we will have after election results. And that should be able to inform the kind of decision the Kenyan people should make at the ballot. Because we do not want to dance after election results and end up regretting that the people we danced that they won, they had no plan, or they had a plan similar to William Ruto's plan. You know, that becomes a problem. We do not want to come to this podcast in 2028, talk about the same problems and a different president.
Yeah.
The achievement should be concurrent, that we have a new president and a new way of governance. That is the kind of country I would like us to have.
Yeah, and what do you think about that? I mean, we are going to be people of the internet. We are going to get into the issue of infrastructure fund and affordable housing. But now I want to ask you, Chuka, do you agree with Joachim that because when you listen to Joachim speak, he without saying it, he doesn't appear to see a person that has a plan
yet
after William Ruto.
And he's not declaring it.
Perhaps the man in the bunker who is his party leader. But apart from that, because we cannot talk about Wanjigi, we will when he comes out after Ramadan. Because that's what this
Not
gentleman
after Ramadan.
You told
After
me
Easter.
You told me after Ramadan.
It's after Easter.
So
Easter
now,
is this weekend.
So now you've pushed the ball.
No.
Because you told me.
I think
You
it
told me, and I want you to listen very carefully.
Yes.
Because I don't want you to be another politician.
Yes.
You told me that party leader is a very spiritual man.
Yeah.
That is something you said, and you said that when Jig is going to come out after Ramadan. Now you've started talking about Easter.
No,
which other? We have June. June is which holiday? June 12th.
No,
June something.
That's a state holiday.
Which one is it? Madaraka. This guy must start talking about after Madaraka.
No.
Because he's a patriot.
He's always telling me that. Ochuka, what do you think about it? Even as we prepare to go to the Singapore Dream, I want to say something to people who are coming in. Martha's just arrived. Musungu is saying, Umwami Joachim. Somebody is saying, what does the SG think about the pomp with which the police conduct the arrest of the governors? Does the Senate have to enforce compliance themselves, as in the case of Sifuna today? Okay? Joachim alitoka bunge la wananchi 7 months ago. Look for something. But he's not talking about bunge la wananchi, surely.
You see, we have a very
No. I'm not asking you to talk, Mr.
We have
Joachim.
a very good number of discombobulated Kenyans, so I will understand him.
Okay. Yes. Okay, but Ochuka was the one that was talking about it. Ochuka, what do you think?
I believe that what is happening in the country, we got into a state of inertia and utter fatigue, where we are looking at candidates that are presenting themselves against the incumbency, and these candidates do not seem to articulate a clear path that can deliver visions for the country, and not just basically sentiment. Sentiment is part of, like, let's say, Ruto must go. That's a sentiment. And Ruto must go was a product. It was birthed out of something fundamental.
Yes.
Some of the three things that we can mention is, one, the finance bill. The finance bill represents what is the economic temperature of the country. Are people getting money that they can use to buy food, to take their children to school? The other issue was there's a big proportion of Kenyans that are very sick. And we have a huge burden of NCDs, for example, cancer, for example, heart disease. We also have a huge burden of child mortality, especially in far-flung counties. So the health has been a problem for some time. We also have been having issues with our food security and food tenure.
Yes.
So when you talk about these issues and you're looking at how the president is articulating them, you realize that this person, yes, he might be articulating the issues that we need as a country, but there are issues he's not addressing. He's not addressing, for example, money being stolen exorbitantly. He's not addressing the debt problem, how he's going to refinance or even take more loans so that we can actually finance the projects that is under his administration. He's not addressing that very well. He's also been a bit of a constitutional contravener, because in essence, for example, like even what we are going to be talking about, the NIF, there are certain issues that are going against the constitution. And then now you look at the opposition and you're not seeing them responding specifically to these issues. They're not objective enough. And if they're objective, they're responding to the president and not articulating that this is what I might be having, given a chance to run this country. This is what I will do. So in that sense, the country is gripped towards incumbency or utter abstinence. Because when you look at the president, somebody might say, oh, I don't like Ruto, for example. And you're looking at the opposition, and you're not convinced that if I replaced Ruto with Matiang'i or Stephen Kalonzo, they will not be able to give me that which I was running away from by sending Ruto home. So ideally, I'll be having another Ruto with a different face. And that is the problem that the country is now facing. And the bigger issue is the candidates that have come up to actually articulate their vision and their manifesto are not doing them in a manner that connects with the heart of the country. And therefore, I would agree with you that so far, I think maybe what Joachim is going through is he's not seeing somebody yet. Because we are 15 months away from the vote. He's not seeing somebody yet. So the question is, will that someone appear for him in the next 1 month or so?
There is hope. If I chip in for a minute before,
just please,
before we get to the National Infrastructure Fund, Kenyans are in a situation where they are actively looking for a candidate of their own. President Ruto, his biggest lack, as we speak today, is the failure from the active opposition today to articulate their capability to handle the messes he's created. Because the mess that has been done for the past 3 years, it needs an extraordinary person to help us undo that kind of mess. And Kenyans can see the kind of mess. And they are now looking, who looks like comes closer to handling this problem. Because most of us in the political arena, we've not grasped the reality that the modicum of politics in Kenya changed. That however you try to whip up the tribal emotions, they are short-lived. They get exciting for a few minutes and people get back and they are like, okay, at the end of the day, what is the need for us?
Okay.
So there has to be someone who says, look, this is the problem. This is my antidote. There has to be someone who is saying, where we are is because of the steps we've made from here. And now from here, we should be able to make these steps. And as we speak today, Kenyans can say we are quiet, my party leader is not out there. But even in our silence, we remain the only people with an idea that can be talked about. And we all want this election to be about ideas. The Safina party has the first agenda. If you feel like you have something better, bring it on the table. So that we now discuss between the first agenda and your agenda, which one is more practical,
deliverable,
and deliverable. So that at the end of the day, if Safina loses and you win, Kenyans are the ones who have won because your plan has deliverables and it has an end reprieve for the people. Otherwise, what we are saying, we in Safina Party, we continue basking in the glory of being the party with the agenda today. Yes.
Stuck in the bunker, though. The people of the internet, we want to go on and talk to give you a video of them in Parliament. But before that, I want to just read something that is very interesting. So, Bunga, cue that video, please, so that I read this. The National Infrastructure Fund Act of 2026 establishes Kenya's most ambitious infrastructure financial vehicle, a state-owned cooperative entity targeting about 5 trillion. That is $38 billion infrastructure investment over the next decade. Signed into law by President Ruto on the 9th March 2026, the fund is capitalized primarily through privatization proceeds from Kenya Pipeline Company, which has already generated 106 billion. Okay? And partial Safaricom stake sale to Vodacom, which is 244 billion. Okay? The NHIF arrives at a moment of acute, the NIF arrives at a moment of acute fiscal stress. Kenya's public debt that Mr. Wanjigi, the party leader of Safina, and SG of Safina has always talked about, is at 12 trillion. That is $9.4 billion as of December 2025.
94.6 billion.
Yes, with 71% of all government revenue consumed by debt servicing. 71% of the money that the government takes from me, takes from you, is going into servicing that debt.
And the Jagero.
The guy is already...
That is our biggest problem.
Okay. The country faces an annual infrastructure financial gap of approximately $2.1 billion against a need to invest over $12 billion annually through 2040. However, the fund already faces 4 constitutional petitions challenging its legality, with the most serious alleging that the Senate was unconstitutionally excluded from the legislative process.
Yes.
And that the act bypasses the control of budget's constitutional mandate. Okay? I want to ask Ochuka, I don't know, you are the one who is starting by giving us a little bit of history. Ochuka, then you will be coming in to tell us how the fund actually works. Can we play the video, please, of the parliamentarians talking about the bill?
Questioning the power of the CS.
If this fund will handle billions, if it is going to prioritize projects, if it is going to structure infrastructure financing, if this board indeed is going to do all these things, why is the cabinet secretary sitting at the center of every control lever?
There is nowhere in this bill that shows any plan that will make sure that the money being distributed through this fund will be able to reach everybody fairly.
Okay, so those are a little bit of squabbling. Tell us a little bit.
That's not really squabbling, because the first speaker in that video has asked a very fundamental question, a very important question, that if we are talking about infrastructure financing, why is the cabinet secretary sitting at the center of all control levers? Because if it's the cabinet secretary sitting at the center of control, it's an executive role. And according to our constitution, allocation of resources is a reserve of parliament. And the Auditor General and the control of budget have a role too in the same. So if this infrastructure fund is out of the sphere of influence of the control of budget, the Auditor General, the role of parliament in it is also gray. Then how are we going to make sure that there is accountability for the funds within this infrastructure? Then who is going to decide that what is going to be done? Who is going to make sure that the money within the National Infrastructure Fund is being utilized to the best interest of the Kenyan person? And there is 2 problems with the National Infrastructure Fund. The drafters of the Kenyan Constitution understood that all our revenue through debt and our own taxes must be pulled in our account as a Kenyan people, and our account is just one, the Consolidated Fund. Then on that, now Parliament is the one given the mandate to allocate what is in that consolidated fund, depending on the priorities of government. And there must be vote heads highlighting how the money shall be spent. But if we are bypassing the consolidated fund, is we are seeking to spend the money away from the eye of the people. So we are creating an environment where we can spend public money and end up not being asked questions. Because even the public does not know what question to ask or who is to be asked what. Because I'm thinking, don't we have infrastructure as an item in our national budget?
It is.
We have it. When we are having the National Infrastructure Fund, what happens to the item of infrastructure in our national budget? Do we end up running two budgets? Or we do away with the item of infrastructure in the national budget and just focus on the National Infrastructure Fund? And the other thing is, where is the oversight part of it? Because we have to be sure and know that as for now, this is the amount of money we have in the National Infrastructure Fund. And it is meant for A, B, C, D. And again, the National Infrastructure Fund itself is a private company owned by the state. So it's the president who appoints the governing council. The governing council shall be chaired by the cabinet secretary for the treasury.
Yes.
And then we shall have the governor of central bank and the audit and the attorney general. Then the three people will be the ones to appoint the board of directors. So look at the three people that have been appointed.
The executive is still controlling
Yes,
the narratives.
So the governing council comprises of 9 members.
Nine
the Treasury,
members.
Cabinet Secretary as the chairman, the governor of the Central Bank of Kenya, the Attorney General, and 6 non-public officers with expertise in finance or in public policy appointed by the president for 3 terms. So who
For
is
3-year terms.
So who is appointing the Treasury Cabinet Secretary?
Is the president.
The president.
Yes.
Who is appointing who is the appointment body for the governor of the central bank?
The president is the one who appoints.
Okay, how about the attorney general?
Is the president.
And the 6 non-public officers with expertise in finance and
It's
public.
still the preserve of the president.
Ochuka, what do you think about what is your thinking about that? Why is everything centering on the president?
I think you have to also look. There's something called because the reason why sometimes we look at, let's say, Reaganomics or Kibaki administration or Kibakinomics, is because most of a government administration tend to also imitate the idiosyncrasies of the person, the president, like their nature, their particular nature. So Ruto is a well-known micromanager. He's one person that sits at the center of everything. And if you can see even the way NIF has been constituted, it actually demonstrates that this guy is a micromanager. He's everywhere, and he does not like oversight. So that should be our biggest question. For such a huge fund project, why is there no oversight? And because when you are looking at something called technicality pipeline, when you're looking at a project, you're looking at feasibility. Feasibility is unangalia, let's say you want to build a bridge. You go to Mali bridge inafaa kutengenezwa uangalie hii river inapitia kwa mtu fulani. So if you direct the river, we have to compensate the person who owns the land. How much will we do so? When we'll be tengenezing this bridge, children who are crossing to the other part of the school will need another alternative. How will we deal with that? You understand? That's feasibility study. And then you look at financing structure. Though I don't have it, this bridge will cost 100 million. We only have 20 million. How will we get the 80 million? Let's say I borrow from Joachim will give me 35. I borrow from you another 45. I still have another 15. You understand? So what that means is most of the times we do not have the money to finance these projects.
Yes.
And it is not in essence a bad thing to borrow. But we have to also look at our history of borrowing, which economists call fiscal discipline. How have we been spending the basket of what we have and what we borrow? And then also you have to look at, after feasibility, you're also looking at the implementation. Implementation can also be partnered with legal, because you have to actually streamline things with the constitution and existing laws, so that you're not contravening the law. so that you are in line with the rule of the law, so that you're also in line with devolution, so that the ultimate gain from this fund or this project or this infrastructure is going to actually help the common mwananchi. And then you're also looking at auditing and monitoring and evaluation. So if already there's no auditor general, there's no controller of budget, how are we going to do monitoring and evaluation?
What is the role of the control of budget now in the current way of infrastructure building? What is the role of the control of budget? He's the one who approves that this amount of money is the one that should go to this particular project. So the National Infrastructure Fund, which is dedicated to just infrastructure, is bypassing the role of the control of budget. The Attorney General and the Auditor General, the person who seeks clarity on how you spent the money. You say that Maori Road is 180 billion. We want to know how did you end up spending?
Itemizing that figure.
Yes, itemizing, and you ended up spending 200 billion. Please, can you make us understand why? So that part is also missing. And remember, what is the government's explanation as to why we need the National Infrastructure Fund? Why is it that we are unable, as a country, to finance infrastructure building using the normal channels? Because the normal channel is that we raise revenue, we put it in our bank, in our account, then we allocate it to different budgets. The reason why even John Bad raised is that we have a very huge debt stock. And the first charge on the consolidated fund is usually interest on loan, which means that the money we contribute as the Kenyan people, and you have highlighted it here, 71.2% goes on loan payment, which means that if we have contributed 2 trillion, we remain with around 3. And when you check 3, it is not able, and you check, the counties want 415 billion, running of government 600 billion. You need 400 billion to pay salaries, so you are in deficit. So the government has said they have devised other ways of financing projects and staying away from debt. But my question is this: why are we running away from something that will not end soon? Why don't we face it and deal with this problem of the 12.30 trillion? Because in our public finance management, we have the law. Some people have confused the issue of odious debt to some economic theories. No. When we talk about odious debt, it is what does the law say about our borrowing? How should we go about it? And so we look at the debt stock that we have vis-a-vis the law that we have. What does the law say? Why should we borrow according to our law? That question has to be answered. When we have money and we are saying we have 12.3 trillion, it must have a corresponding infrastructure base that reflects the amount of money we have borrowed. In the absence of that, then it means that the debt stock we are circumventing by creating the infrastructure fund is the issue that we must pay attention to. And again, how are we making sure that the National Infrastructure Fund does not accrue another debt off the books? Because what does the bill, the National Infrastructure Act, say? What are the objects of this NIF? This NIF shall be able to borrow money to finance its projects. Because how does it raise finances for itself? By money that we get out of privatizing our state-owned
assets.
Which means they are saying that for us to have a railway from Nairobi to Kisumu, we have to sell something that we have. For me to have a dual carriage to Bungoma, Kenya Pipeline Corporation must be sold. For you to have an expressway from here to Narok, we have to sell Kenya Ports Authority. The money we get out of privatization, which is also revenue, shall not go to the consolidated fund, will go to something private, owned by the state, controlled by the president. And the idea looks very good. But there is something in business called know your customer. You could come with a very nice vehicle. You are selling a slick Mercedes, and you know Joachim loves Mercedes.
Okay.
So it's something good that I want. You're telling me, oh, nini, a very good language of selling. But then something is, I'm not paying attention to the car because it's obviously good. My biggest concern is the one selling the car because I know him. So I'm thinking, where did he get this car? This car is good, yes. It can serve my purpose, yes. But where did he get it from? You see, it becomes a trust deficit issue. So some of these ideas that we're being told.
Why are you talking about the car and where we are getting it from and who is selling it? What is the problem with? What are some of the hypothetical problems that we are having with the person that is selling the car?
Let me join in.
Yes,
let me join in.
Please join in.
Because the CS, John Buddy, has been claiming something very fundamental to NIF. You had him mention Sovereign Wealth Fund.
Yeah.
So Sovereign Wealth Fund is like a state-owned investment fund that the government gets by selling. There are two things. There's finite and non-recurring resources. So finite and non-recurring resources ni kama gas, crude oil from Turkana, or if, like for example, what Joachim has said, when we sell state-owned enterprises, like let's say Kenya Ports Authority, like Kenya Pipeline Corporation, and we get that money. So in other words, what Joachim is saying, that when somebody comes with a very sleek Mercedes, Sovereign Wealth Fund is a very sleek idea.
Yes.
And because one of the biggest aspirations as Kenyans is for us to get to a point where we are sovereign economically.
Yes.
In other words, we can tunaweza kujidumu, like we can stand on our own 2 feet. Even if we are borrowing, we know that we are borrowing and this money goes to fund SGR. And the value for that SGR can be commensurate with the money that we borrowed.
Yes.
That's sovereignty.
Yes. Okay.
But now we are dealing with somebody who has borrowed in previous government administration heavily, and that money is not commensurate with the money that they borrowed. You understand? So this is somebody that also has a non-fiscal indiscipline. In other words, the way they spend their money, the way CSS spend their monies is known to be extravagant, and it's not going to the infrastructure that we have actually established to be spending that money on. So that is somebody you're suspicious with.
That is the seller of the Mercedes.
Yes.
When you submit a proposal for business in a bank looking for funding, the first thing is that the bank will look at the proposal and look at its viability.
Okay.
Then once they ratify that the proposal is good, they look at who brought it.
Okay.
Who is this person that brought the proposal?
Okay.
Then they are like, what's your name, sir? Odor Jagero. Then they will look around other banks. Did you take a loan that you didn't pay?
The background checking you.
What is your history in business? They are establishing your credit worth so that they end up deciding whether to adopt this idea and fund it or not. In most cases, it is not the idea that is wrong. It is the person who brought it that does not qualify to be funded.
Okay.
We are having a very good idea. And I have seen one of the comments, someone saying that the president's crime is to think outside the box. I have not in any instance doubted the mental capability of the president. But in most cases, people who commit the biggest crimes are people with very good brains but a bad heart. The person who made poison that killed Jews,
mustard gas,
yes, was not a stupid person, but he used his brain to manufacture poison. The other person was very equally brilliant, but used his brains to manufacture a Concorde supersonic plane. These are two people with very good brains, but how they apply their brilliance is different. We are looking at the issue of debt, and we are trying to ascertain where did the rain started beating us. So we go back in time. Who are the people in question of where the rain started? Who are these people that most likely made the wrong decisions that got us here? So we go back some few years and we go to 2014. One of the first borrowing that contributed to this debt stock that is a very strong yoke on our shoulders is the Eurobond. And the faces we see at that time, we see Raila Odinga asking questions. We see the deputy president of that time appearing on TV, responding to the questions asked by Raila Odinga. And this particular TV interview is the sitting deputy president of that time, who happens to be the president today, with Hussein Mohammed.
Who happens to be?
The communications of State House. You see, you don't look at what they are saying, look at the patterns.
Okay.
And this is what the deputy president at that time responds to the question of the Eurobond. Now let me tell you, Hussein, I can look into this camera and say that the people saying that the Eurobond is lost is total nonsense. Are you trying to tell me that the people of Kenya, the government of Kenya, can connive with the other people in America to steal from the Kenyan people? He said that Raila Odinga does not understand economics and the issue of debt. He was the deputy president of that time. He was in charge to explain any question around economy and debt. 13 years later, he's president. And we have a question around the economy and debt. And he's saying the previous regime is what got us here. As if we was selling mihogo in the previous regime. When we look at the previous regime, it's a combination of people who held powerful dockets. And when we blame the previous regime, who are we really blaming? The president was Uhuru Kenyatta. The deputy president, who had a 50-50% sharing of the government, was Deputy President William Ruto. Who is the president? Today. The finance minister at that time was Henry Rotich, who was brought by who?
Uhuru Kenyatta, Ruto.
President Ruto. Uhuru Kenyatta at that time was president. He brought somebody called Kamau Thuge to be the PS for Henry Rotich. Who is Kamau Thuge today?
CBK governor.
He's the governor for the Central Bank of Kenya, who has been appointed as one of the council of governors in the National Infrastructure Fund.
The Mercedes
what goes
seller.
around comes around, my brother.
Are you telling me
Yeah.
that the Kamau Thuge of 2014, who we didn't trust around the Eurobond, we should now trust him with this? The National Infrastructure Fund? No. The Accountant General of Government at that time was Bernard Mwiruri. Where is Bernard Mwiruri today? Who was I can forgive the Auditor General, who was called Edward Ouko.
He tried.
Who tried? And he traveled even to the US to try and get answers to the questions. That half of the Eurobond we borrowed has been lost. And there were allegations that the money was used to bribe people in the ICC. So, and today, people are telling us the president is thinking outside the box.
It's amazing how you took that, that comment.
To circumnavigate around the issue of debt and come up with an alternative way of financing infrastructure in a manner that is understandably opaque. Because anything you create in this world will always mirror your character.
It will.
The person who created this camera must have been a person who wanted to see.
How do I look?
How do I look? How can I record a moment now? And so he thought and tried to create a camera so that he could record something and freeze time. So that you could come back and see what really happened at that time. President Ruto is known to be the person who does everything to benefit himself. You see, you cannot be the person that everything you touch, there are questions around it. And you say, people are just against you. And we just hate you because you are a Kalenjin. Really? How many Kalenjins have held dockets out here and we don't ask them questions? There are so many. And is Eliud Kipchoge a Luhya? No. But we celebrate him. Why don't we remember that he's a Kalenjin? It's because we can see that what he has achieved is out of genuineness. And the problem I have with believing that this thing will work is that the president is the one appointing people in charge of this thing, and those people appointed by the president will be the ones appointing the governing council. There is something else here called, there is a governing council and a board of directors. Sindio? So my biggest problem is that I do not trust the person who have thought out of the box. Remember in 1999, it's good to learn history. This person was director of elections in Kano, the president that we have. And some 77 million got lost in Kenya Pipeline Corporation. You remember in this National Infrastructure Fund, there is Kenya Pipeline Corporation somewhere. Having been the IPO, they sold shares of Kenya Pipeline. So it's not the first time for the president to think about Kenya Pipeline Corporation. When 77 million got lost, and the law enforcement was thinking about who could have done it, they ended up concluding and suspecting that the director of elections in Kano must be the one who have done this, and they arrested him. His lawyer is the current member of parliament for Gilgoris, where the president has a very big ranch. Julius Sunkuli. So, there is nothing new here. People would want us to talk about so many things. But the workability of anything, this thing might end up working like SHA. SHA is working perfectly as designed to benefit some people. You could see. It is going to work like e-citizen, where 6.3 billion can be transferred from e-citizen to a private bank account in Equity Bank, but we cannot be told whose account is that. This thing, as we speak, will be holding 350 billion. 244.5 billion from the sale of 15% of Safaricom, and the rest from selling shares, 70,000 shares of, is it 770? Of Kenya Pipeline Corporation. Put together, that's 350 billion. Managed by a fund that is opaque. The Auditor General has no jurisdiction.
Let's hear what the Auditor General is saying about the fund. I think we have it, right? Let's hear what the Auditor General is saying about it.
Fund. Controller of Budget Margaret Nakango, through a written submission presented to a committee of the National Assembly, questioned the basis of establishing the fund as a corporate entity and not a public fund under Section 2(4) of the Public Finance Management Act. The Office of the Controller of Budget says the bill is ambiguous and does not address the applicability of the PFMA Act, how it will be oversighted by the Controller of Budget, and who authorizes withdrawals and expenditure. In addition, Controller of Budget Margaret Nakango says the National Infrastructure Fund Bill 2026 does not explicitly provide for the exclusion of money from the consolidated fund. Therefore, the proceeds must first be deposited into the consolidated fund before being transferred to the infrastructure fund.
All right, great. Ochuka, I want Ochuka to take it from here. Ochuka, how will the fund actually work? Is that the place where you want to start from?
That's where I was introducing the Sovereign Wealth Fund,
okay.
And we have already even tackled it. But I want to mention at least 4 things that a sovereign fund is supposed to tackle.
Okay.
Now, just a minute. When you look at sovereignty, you're always looking at precedents, which is why when we are just mentioning these names, we're not character assassinating anyone. We're looking at the totality of a person in terms of their thinking capacity to envision a Kenya, a total Kenya. A total Kenya means that you're able to look at aspects of Kenya, whether it is agriculture, you're looking at education, you're looking at health, you're looking at all these small gears that form the greater whole Kenya. And therefore, with that in mind, we look at how do we pass on a baton to the future? Because the idea of sovereignty is we can gain some sort of independence, economic independence, that the future generation do not need to pay for a debt that does not serve them.
Yes.
We always borrow in the hope, even our parents took us through education and schooling, fighting and surviving so that one day we have a better chance that they probably did. I think that's the whole idea of sovereignty, because we want to pass on a country that is better in terms of our own credit score, and in terms of our own independence, in terms of our own economic independence, so that our country does not fall into the trap, the same vicious trap of structural adjustment that we had in the 80s and the 90s. The other thing is also we have to look at how we stabilize an economy. You do not stabilize an economy by bypassing consolidated fund. And if you think that there is a need to create that bypassing, then there ought to be a guardrail. A guardrail does not mean that anything will not be passed. I mean, Kenyans see, and Kenyans can be able to know that if we produce this amount of money from our GDP and we dedicate it to, let's say, Rironi Mau Summit, and it is a very needed infrastructure. We do not say that it is not needed, but we are also saying that how can we itemize it against any commensurate value from this particular project? So that is how we stabilize an economy, but we do not do it by running away from the debt problem. Because I feel like we are looking at this budget and we're like, hey, let's say, okay, we're 3 people here. I owe Joachim money. I owe him 3,000 bob. And then I say, because we are in a chama as 3 people, so we always contribute 1,000 bob every month. So after every month we have 3,000 bob. I borrow him 3,000 bob. And then I say, Joachim, you don't takupea April ikiisha. Understand? Then I come again and I borrow you another 2,000. And I say, by the way, because hii chama yetu haifanyi kazi poa, let's create another thing. But then again, the rules that used to apply for our chama will not apply for this fund because we need things to move very fast. You understand? So you are actually creating a problem that you are running away from. Because one of the things that we are running away from our debt is auditable indices and priority. Indices means that you're able to look at because all our loans are not maturing at the same time. Every other week, even every other month, the government is usually procuring a loan. But they're not maturing at the same time. Even their facilitation is not done at the same time. So one loan is paid and another one is taken. So if you look at that continuum, sometimes these terms of repayment do not appear during or happen during the same time. But the problem comes whereby somebody says, I'm going to borrow, I've already borrowed you 2,000. So it means that I'm already owing in total 5,000.
Yes.
And by that borrowing alone, we created a bypassing. So it means that our chama is not going to be functional. In other words, it is dead. We'll be focusing most of our energy here. So what we are creating by NIF is, are we saying that if we need a dedicated finance structure under NIF, then we will be leaving also social amenities fund, because most of this, they're actually creating something called commercially viable filter. What that means for layman terms is the government has realized that Kitambo, we used to do projects based on political motivation. I, as Omondi Chuka, would go to Ruto at State House and say, by the way, unajua mimi ni rafiki yako. Ile pale Nyakachuka kuna borehole. We now have a water problem. So I want some water problem. And because we are me and him are friends, he'll say, okay, that's hiyo ni kazi kidogo. So he'll pull
panga
up.
Nikuje.
Yeah, panga nikuje. Yes, yes. So what that has created is most of our infrastructure, no matter how good they were for the country or for the community at that particular level, they were not following procedure. And procedure is not just about laws. Procedure is also about applying relatability and value system, gaining value out of that project. So it's the first time the government is trying to apply what we call investment logic. When you're investing on something, you're also looking at the return of investment.
Yes.
If I put 1,000 into this investment, what will be coming at the end of a week or at the end of a month for this particular investment cycle? But when for such an important infrastructure change, it is being done in a shoddy way. It tells you that this guy, he has a good idea, and I saw somebody saying that the problem of Ruto is to think out of the box. Yes, he has thought out of the box, but how he is applying it is still going back to the same box. In fact, it is now a container. It's not even a box, because once you're locked in there, the things that you will need, the path that you will take to actually take yourself out of that box will be even worse. And we're also looking at how far off we are late. Because for a long time, we never imagined the country as a whole. We used to think about Nairobi, and then do a few Mwea project, do a few Kenya Ports Authority, and that's just about it. But for the first time, the government is looking at, hey, how do we look at our country? And then look at the comparative advantage of northeastern counties, Nyanza counties, and coastal counties, and even the Nairobi Central County. How do we ensure that the pipeline of infrastructure is able to coordinate the comparative value from every corner of the country? And then how do we do that? Since we are already too late, because if you look at, let's say, our roads have been upgraded for the last few years. When you look at it, they are mostly isolated. They're not connecting the value chain, because if you're looking for, let's say, producing waru from Nyandarua to Nairobi, Nyandarua has some of the worst roads if you're to actually look about it. And if you're looking at how do we increase our exports to Uganda, our trade with Uganda, then we need the SGR, and that will also end up having another auxiliary value by serving people around Nyanza and Western. So we are not saying that generally that SGR is a bad thing, but we are saying the applicability of it is bypassing something that is very fundamental.
Yes.
And in fact, it is actually removing dignity from the person it's supposed to be serving. Because if you're saying that I'm going to borrow you money, like I've just explained, I cannot come to you again and say, I'm going to borrow you money, but don't ask me where I'm going to take the money. So you'll ask me, Chuka, but you'll borrow me 2,000 just the other week. Ido ingine unataka unapeleka wapi? Yes, so I think at the end of the day, sovereign wealth fund is not a bad thing in itself. In fact, it's a very creative and a very genius way, the way I've seen in some of the comments, but it is fundamentally bypassing and running away from something fundamental. Yes.
Okay, I want to ask. There are two questions that I have, and I think Ochuka will start, and then I'll go back to Joachim. So the two questions are: the Act defines national infrastructure across transport, national highways, railways, airports, seaports, bus, rapid transport, energy, water and irrigation, digital infrastructure, and so on and so forth. There is no mention of health. There is no mention of education. There is no mention of very important things in a society such as Kenya.
Yes.
I'm wondering, the people that sat down and started thinking about the infrastructure fund, why is it that it was mostly going into these specific things? Seaports, they are mortar and cement, largely. Question number two is the priority. Because if we look at the priority, we have JKIA expansion as the one that is sitting at the top.
Actually, that is the one that I mentioned at the top, yes.
And I'm wondering, is that really the priority of the country? I'm not sure. Is that
And
the
why?
priority of the country?
And if it's so, why?
And then we go back to the other one is now the SGR extension. Then we go to Nairobi Mombasa Expressway. Ochuka, I want to start with you. The priority. Why is it that we have no mention of health? We have no mention of education. We have no mention of other sectors of governance.
When we liberalize economies, like the way IMF and World Bank have already prescribed, we usually tend to think that social infrastructure like health and education are low profit infrastructures. In other words, when you put money there, by the time, let's say for example, you teach your kid, by the time that kid is going to buy you his first bread from his first salary, it's about 27 or 30 years. So that's the same thing when you look at education. The return of investment is never usually immediate. And that's why when we're talking about the personality of the President Ruto, it's very important because you have to look at where is that thinking coming from.
Yes.
This is a thinking of trapping investment immediately. It has to
serve you
yes,
now.
it has to serve you now. And why is it serving you now? Because they are under checks. CRBC that is building Talanta Stadium.
Yeah.
that's a known body for Ruto. Yeah. In fact, most people were saying that there was a KDF hospital that was supposed to be built in Westlands that was shut down in favor of Talanta Stadium. Now, do we need Talanta Stadium? Of course we do. But the priority is a bit mixed up. So the CS for Treasury, John Badi, was saying that they are actually thinking of commercially viable. And that's a very important term because they're looking at what amount of money will we be able to get when we invest in education as opposed to when we invest in Rironi Mau Summit, because the money will be immediate. Yes. Once I release 108 billion, I'll be able to get my 8 billion and the money will go on and continue with its project.
Once the project is flagged off, you start recouping immediately.
Yes.
Yes.
What do you mean by recouping?
Mau Rironi Road is a commercial project. I told you that.
Yes.
That we are building a road with an imagination of how many people use this road. They actually have the number. How much are they paying per kilometer?
That's the recouping that you're talking about.
Yes. So when
I thought you were talking about kickbacks.
No, when the president and the kickbacks
also
cannot
yes, yeah.
I was Kosa.
Yes.
When the president flags off the road and commissions it to work, profits begin immediately.
Do we have a problem with sound? Okay, good.
So it's not like education where you have to build a school and you need
train teachers.
Yes, train teachers. A long, tedious thing with nothing to get out of it immediately. They look at it as a pipe draining the money.
Also, another thing that is very interesting. Remember, JKIA Adani and Adani's cousin Social Insurance Fund were flagged 2 years ago. Understand? They were flagged 2 years ago. And right now, they're creating a fund for JKIA.
Yes. It's Adani party too.
And then they want, because Adani blew up, JKIA blew up on them because there was a question of auditing. There was a question of looking at the priority of it and looking at how this money is going to be spent. Because Ethiopia is constructing one of the largest airport and dam in Africa, actually. Rwanda is doing the same. So we are not saying, and even right now when there's been a lot of airspace traffic that has affected Middle East, we would have benefited greatly if we had a good upgraded JKIA. Yes. We're not saying that it is a bad thing, but the reason why it is a bad thing is they want to avoid the big blow up that happened when Adani was actually outed. So they want to create something that cannot be put into question.
This government is telling us that wacha tujenge, tutake maswali. Wewe nataka airport ama utaki? Nataka airport. Na so wacha ijengwe ni nini maswali? So that's the attitude we are getting out of it. But you have mentioned something very important. So the people who are telling us that the ideas are good, we look at them. The other day, they wanted to do a Adani deal chini ya maji. That even us knowing about it
was a big problem.
Was a mistake from them.
Yes.
Something leaked. And the people in this Adani deal are the same people with Shah and Schiff, which we are still asking questions. It is the same people, the same names, with the Safaricom sale of 15%. And you can see the same names are in the National Infrastructure Fund.
I have another theory also. There's something called elite capture. Yes. And elite capture is it's very well demonstrated by Ruto, where he looks at a country and he looks at critical areas where ukishika hivi,
you are in charge.
You are in charge of the country. So whether you will be president or not, but as long as you have a direct control by the reserve of, let's say, privatized shares or sales of these corporations or state-owned entities, then at some point you will be having a direct control of it. Because if you have 50% or let's say 40% of KPC, and you are long retired.
Yes, you are in charge of energy.
Yes, in some sense.
Yes.
So elite capture has been some of the biggest issues that we have been dealing with in the past administration. And we are saying that it is not the idea that introducing an NIF and we're just going to accept it. That's a bogus.
Let me ask you, Jagero. When today we decide to say Kenyans should buy shares in the Kenyan Ports Authority, they are offloading shares. Who are the people that are most likely to buy more shares? Politicians.
Who already have money.
Because it will happen like it happened in KPC. You will buy, there will be an oversubscription. And then people will be refunded their money. Which kind of people? If you bought shares worth 100,000, if you bought shares below a million. Mutaambiwa, there is an oversubscription, you are refunded back your money. So the people who end up making profit are the people with good money. And the people with good money are politicians. Remember, we are talking about theft of money in terms of billions. So if it's a politician who has stolen money in terms of billions, he has enough to buy off 15% of Safaricom.
And he also has insider information.
Yes. Look at the person who's the chairperson of Safaricom Board of Management. He is called Adil Kawanja. Who is Adil Kawanja? He's the managing partner of a law firm called Denton's HHM, the oldest law firm in Kenya, established in 1938.
By his grandfather?
I don't know how he ended up being the chairman. This same Adil Kawanja and this law firm, he is the local representative of Adani Airport Holdings. This same Adil Kawanja is the one who offered
consultation
services and all that on Shah and Schiff.
And they were paid all 6 billion or what?
Yes, they were paid 6 billion. This same Adil Kawanja, he is the same person making decisions on the board of Safaricom. That they are saying that according to company law, shareholders are the ones with the biggest say. So if the chairman, whose law firm has employed Nick Ruto, is the one making decisions on the board of Safaricom to sell off 15% to Vodacom, are you telling me William Ruto does not want to own Safaricom?
Let's talk about...
And this is the same money that is coming into the infrastructure fund that they don't want to be oversighted. The other day, this same regime called the control of budget and the Auditor General corrupt. When he raised an issue of money being illegally withdrawn from the central bank to a tune of 1.3 trillion for a period of 7 months.
Yeah. There is a relationship to other legislation. The Act operates within a broader legal system. The Public Finance Management Act provides the framework for sale of government-linked corporation shares. That is Section 87A.
Yes.
The Privatization Act number 18 of 2025 clears the path for asset sales that capitalize the fund. The Government-Owned Enterprises Act governs board appointment and so on and so forth. Now, this act collides with Kenyan Constitution.
Yes.
In a fundamental way. Number one is the Senate exclusion. And this is what a lot of people are saying is the most dangerous vulnerability of this law. The strongest constitutional challenge facing NIF Act is its passage exclusively through the National Assembly without Senate involvement. Because Article 110 of the Constitution requires Senate participation in bills that are concerning to the county governments. And Katiba Institute's petitions argues forcefully that the Act carves out exclusive county government functions and national resources to which counties are constitutionally entitled. So all these infrastructure projects are at some point would be pushed down the throat of counties.
Yes.
Right?
Leave it, yeah.
The fund will finance highways, railways, energy and irrigation, several of which overlap with devolved county functions under the fourth schedule by diverting privatization proceeds away from the consolidated fund from which county receive their equitable share.
Yes.
Okay? Are you listening to that, Ochuka?
Yes.
So the 5 trillion cannot be touched by the county government.
Yes. But this 5 trillion is as a result of privatization.
Of things that are in their counties.
Which the counties should get 15% of their equitable share. So we are cutting off revenue from counties.
Okay, that is the most important, the fundamental, the control of the budget bypass, which is a constitutional alarm. Auditor General Nancy Gathugu testifying before Parliament, February 26, 2026, delivered what may be the most consequential official critique of it. Clause 33 of the bill bypasses the control of budget's constitutional mandate to authorize withdrawals from public funds. It goes against Article 228, makes the controller's role mandatory for all public fund withdrawals.
Yes.
So before you take money from this fund, it must be authorized by the control of budget.
Yes.
Which is not going to be happening. And the question that a lot of Kenyans are asking, why are you bypassing the person that is holding the key to the finances?
Mtu ambaye ameajiriwa na serikali ndiye anafungwanga anasema okay, mnataka 1,200 ya kujenga barabara. Anaangalia through the documents, anaona iko sawa, ana sign. So unataka withdraw hiyo 1,200 bila huyo mtu. And you want us to say, you've thought out of the box. Congratulations.
And then the consolidated fund question, Article 206 of the Constitution, mandates that all money raised or received by the national government
should go to the
must be paid into the consolidated fund.
Then the consolidated fund shall decide if the money should be sent to the National Infrastructure Fund. Because you can't put National Infrastructure Fund above consolidated fund.
Yeah.
No.
And the question here, therefore, is where does the county governments get their share from the consolidated fund?
Yes.
So when you hive off 5 trillion from that consolidated fund, it means that you're denying them essentially the 15% that is their share. And we agree that we also have problems with the county government. They are now being arrested and chased down the street by a senator. All right. But it is their money. All right. It is the money that is supposed to go there. And Mbadi is very interesting because he counters that court affidavit that the NIF is a government-owned company not a constitutional public fund.
It's a clever way.
Is it really clever, or it is bullshitting the public?
It's just they're bluffing.
No, he thinks.
How is this clever?
No, you hide things in plain sight.
Yes.
You hide things. You say, no. The control of budget only approves from public funds. This is not a fund. This is a private company owned by the state. So you have no jurisdiction. It's playing around with the legal jargon.
But can I ask you a
question?
But
then again, there's also something very interesting. You see, when they took this bill to Parliament and they amended that the CS is not supposed to be in the Council of Governors.
Yes.
And then they pushed him back to this other body of decision, which is it? The board. In other words, in essence, he's only brief for the president. And because right now, right at this point, is the CS of Treasury. So he does not see a point where he won't be benefiting directly from it. And I think that's one of the rules that actually...
and there is also another issue that is raising, that it is not a constitutional public fund and has not yet received or spent any public money.
The party leader is calling.
Okay.
Let me pick the call.
Please. Okay. This framing, treating the NHIF as a corporate entity rather than a public fund, represents the government's core legal strategy, but faces significant scrutiny. So the question here with Choka is the separation of powers and the treasury of CS dual role.
Because ideally, the duplicity comes as a result of what would have the CS performed in that particular mandate. And I think if we would have had the control of budget or the auditor general as part of either sitting in either the council of the council of governance or the board, then it would have reduced or cleared or eliminated that duplicity. That duplicity comes as a result of the CS wanting to be on both ends. In other words, the CS has the aerial view of NIF. And I think that is one of the red flags that we are seeing with the infrastructure fund.
But they are also saying that they will not borrow, but Article 227 and borrowing provisions requires procurement to be fair, equity, transparent, and competitive and cost-effective. But the Auditor General flagged that the board's authority to invest through equity and debt.
And debt restructuring. So ideally, if you have, what we'll be creating something called, if you as a country, you're producing some amount through your GDP, and then you're saying, this amount of money that we have created, we are going to spend it here, on roads, we are going to spend it on JKIA, and we're going to spend it on any other infrastructure. But the borrowing in itself, our debt ratio is already on chokehold as we speak. At some point, we will be running into the same debt chokehold that we are running away from.
Yeah.
And I think that is the biggest problem so far.
Okay. We have several people that have disagreed, because one of the things that we are also reading from everybody else is that what Kenyan stakeholders have said. And today I read a very interesting conversation online from a university professor, associate professor of finance at the University of the Witwatersrand in South Africa.
Yes.
Odongo Kadongo. Is published something that is very detailed critique in the Conversation Africa. He acknowledged that it's overdue, but he identified governance flaws that leave the fund vulnerable to political interference. And one of the things that I fear is that while this government is very much in haste of doing all these things and started all these funds, and I think that a lot of people might think that Ruto is rogue. But sometimes you ask yourself, have we seen the worst? Because Ruto might leave all these acts, and then somebody comes and says, I want to thank Mr. Ruto for preparing the ground.
Creating precedents,
for me. And then and then it becomes a very difficult thing to even reverse.
You see, that's someone who has access to huge amounts of money in a corner that has no CCTV.
You can take it anyway.
This is money we are agreeing to put the safe of an organization where there is no camera watching. That someone who comes to that safe and withdraws the money, we are left to speculate. You see, that's what the government is telling us.
Yeah.
And when we ask questions, we are labeled people who are spewing hate against government.
Yeah, David D said on Capital FM the 3rd of November 2025 that the National Infrastructure Fund is in our manifesto. It is going to be capitalized using tax or levies. It is not going to be capitalized using tax or levies. He framed the NIF as enabling government to take commercially viable infrastructure outside of budget in order to reduce the fiscal burden.
So why are we offloading commercially viable infrastructure? I think those are infrastructure that we should be guarding.
The critical, yes.
Yes.
Yes. So and then also the other issue is Kenya Airways, Kenya Ports Authority, let's say these guys have been making losses year in, year out. And then we are saying if we applied another model, another economic model, then they will start making profit. Why can't we do the same as they exist within the government parts? Yes.
Yeah.
What is it that we are not doing as they exist, as government or as state-owned entities, that we would do if we privatized them to start making profit?
Sheila Lang warned on Spice FM 18th March 2026 about limited involvement of oversight bodies as a corruption vulnerability, arguing we have the same ambitions as Singapore, but not their institutional readiness. We don't need to have a fund just because they do. Legal scholar Janet Jebichi Sego, writing in The Elephant, 10th March 2026, said, described NIF as a Singapore cut and paste job.
You see,
and posed a fundamental question before you come in. The government should reconsider whether the fund is meant to shield Kenyans from tax burdens and further national debt, or to shield public funds from public scrutiny.
I wonder, all countries with an extra fund like this one have something extra away from their taxes as a source of revenue. Every country. It's either oil.
Egypt especially.
Yes, it's or minerals. Or like
South Africa also, yes.
If we had this fund, and we are saying the money we get out of exploiting minerals in Murima Hill, that money shall be sent to the consolidated fund, then redirected to
NIF.
Then I would listen. But if its biggest source of income is laying off commercially viable infrastructure, do we have infinite infrastructure that we will always be selling year in, year out? Or what is the expected lifespan of the National Infrastructure Fund? Because how many state corporations are we going to sell? For how long? What will happen when we are done with selling all of them?
Perhaps then we will revert to Murima Hills. You are taking a call from Mr. Jimmy Wanjigi. Why couldn't he come online and talk to us? But anyway, political reactions span full spectrum. President William Ruto has been the NIF's principal champion.
Yes. And that's my biggest problem.
Declaring at the signing ceremony. I don't know whether we have got video of him saying anything while signing. We do. Can we listen to him?
Please. I like listening to him. He gives me easy job to.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Today we are also having a bunga on this
Today's moment, therefore, represents more than a creation of a fund. It represents a new chapter in how Kenya finances its future. A chapter where we invest at scale in the foundation of a first world economy, transforming agriculture through extensive irrigation and water infrastructure, expanding modern infrastructure, including roads, rail, ports, airports, and logistic corridors that connect our farms, factories, and markets.
Channeling proceeds from the privatization of state assets into the fund. This includes funds from the sale of shares in Kenya Pipeline Company and the Safaricom divestiture. Katiba argues that the Senate was excluded from the legislative process despite the act affecting county finances, contrary to constitutional requirements, and that Parliament's oversight role over public finances will be undermined as the fund prevents the Office of the Controller of Budget from exercising its constitutional mandate in approving and supervising expenditure.
Kimani Chungwa that Joachim does not want us to listen to, call it the most consequential piece of legislation ever passed by this House.
What
Since the 1965 session paper number 10.
Of course they would have cited it.
Adding the journey to Singapore has been crystallized. Do you know the meaning of crystallize? To crystallize.
Clear.
Crystal meth.
Give clarity.
Yes, to give it clarity, to make it have substance.
The opposition rejection obviously was unequivocal, but I have a problem. You can imagine Rigathi Gachagua getting into power and realizing 5 trillion.
That problem. You see, even when you look at the questions raised by the opposition, could you go through them, please?
Yes. Rigathi Gachagua, Democracy for Citizens, DCP, Eugene Wamalwa, DPAK, and Justin Muturi, Democratic Party, declared the bill a dangerous and a coordinated assault on Kenya's constitutional framework of public finance management. They argued Kenya's infrastructure deficit is not a product of institutional scarcity. It is a product of execution failure, procurement corruption, and physical opacity. Gachagua labeled the fund a vehicle to rig the polls, while Muturi warned of mega scandal risk. Yes.
I agree. You see, when the alligator tells you this crocodile is sick, you better listen. If when I have watched several movies, and whenever something happens, like around here, and the vehicle is stolen, the FBI usually looks for the person who used to steal vehicles or went to prison due to theft, something close to that. They come and ask, who do you think might have stolen? We are not saying it.
They follow Chuka, who is in prison.
Who was in prison for
who was?
Yes. Or they can go to prison.
Because these guys are resourceful. Yes. They know the streets.
So wait. Ulishikwa.
But why would I tell them?
they give you.
They can cut a deal for you.
They give you very good terms. Say ulifungwa miaka ngapi? 15. How many have you served? 4. We have a few questions. If you answer them the way we want you to answer, maybe we can say you are left on parole.
All right. It is very interesting that they can actually do that.
Yes, they can do that. They tell us there's something that has happened. We just want you to give us the name of the person who, or help us solve this case.
Yeah.
And you will realize that person have a few names in his head.
In mind.
Okay.
Negari gani libiwa? What was the manner of theft? Was it by a gun, knife? When you tell him a knife, huyo ni OT.
Hiyo ni style yake.
Hiyo ni style ya OT. And the FBI looks on their people that actually OT is one of the people
who was flagged in the radar.
Yeah, who has been flagged as being a criminal.
Actually, the sketch we have
from the resembles it.
Looks like
you realize that OT might not know, but he also knows who can do that.
Yeah.
He said, no, That's not me. That's my former boss. I'm a mechanic now. I'm a mechanic. Then you end up getting the person who stole. So when Gachagua tells you that there is a looming possibility of theft, please pay attention.
Yeah, but there is this guy called Kiraithe who says, does Joachim really understand what commercially viable projects mean? And he's not telling us what it means.
That explains,
because that's their selling point.
That explains why he's not on this podcast. Because if he knew what it means, he will be somewhere explaining to the people. So, Kiraithe,
you wanted to talk in Kikuyu? Because Kiraithe, yes,
is ability to make profit.
Yes.
That's so who does Kiraithe think he is?
I'm wondering.
Some of us have not made it into the spaces of being lazy. We go through books. We know a lot. So Kiraithe,
okay, and always people of the internet, I've always said that you can actually write in to respond. If you, I think even everybody that is on chat for this on this chat right now are about 400 people right now, and I think that the message like this one does not really help the people that are also on the chat.
Because you better read
because you can just tell us what are commercially viable.
It's not rocket science.
It's not rocket science. I don't know why he's saying that,
but we understand. Every market must have its own madman.
Okay. Go ahead. We were saying something. We were saying. Yeah. We were talking to people that have said things. You could even jazz Sana. You could even jazz Sana. So Gachagua.
Yes. Gachagua tells
Gachagua can say it's OT. This is OT.
Yeah, because he's been there. Gachagua has been a deal. There is no one within the former government structure before the 2010 constitution. DOs and PCs were very important.
You're the center of things.
Yes. So when he tells you something's going to happen, you better listen. And especially around theft, because Gachagua has been accused of theft here and there. So he might have knowledge of 1, 2. Say, Apa Ruto. And the other day when he was speaking to Trevor, he told Trevor, we've been in these things. We know them. So allow me, believe me when I say, you might not understand how it will be done. But that's how it's supposed to be. You are not supposed to understand. Just know it will be done. So when the first questions, indication of sinister motive is preventing us from asking questions and knowing where the money is going. If at all we are genuine, we want to be transparent to the Kenyan people, why are we bypassing the infrastructure that allows us to know what you are funding? And the Treasury Cabinet Secretary, Badi, says that we will not be funding social amenities. Social amenities means stadia. They will not be building schools, libraries. They will not be building things that do not generate money. They will be building a road they can toll.
So they're not looking for welfare at all.
Yeah, they are not looking for welfare.
Yeah, we have a few comments from the audience. Mr. Carter Jones is saying that if you look at the NIF Part 5, Section 2.5, it says this section specifically details government support measures to underwrite commercial risk and provide security for projects.
Well, one of the things they created was what we called CGCs, where the government can be able, like what they do with Kenya Airways. Kenya Airways has been making a lot of losses, and then the government comes in to bail them. So it's out of the books, it's like a list of credit that the government gives when a facility is not doing as it was envisioned to do, or it does poorly. But sometimes the risk of that is the culture it creates. That anytime we introduce an infrastructure project, and we know very well that our discipline to manage such infrastructure is very poor. And therefore, the inevitability of it failing is glaring in in the eyes. Yeah. And then at the end of the day, we'll go and pay it and then bail it out every now and then. Yeah. Is that something that we want as a country?
Yes, we are being led by people who cannot begin and end something. Because I've not seen a project that has been launched and commissioned by the president. If there is one, then I would like to know. And mostly you realize at the end of the day that the person who stands to benefit more or instantly from this particular project is not the people, but the person who launched and commissioned it.
Yeah.
And that becomes a problem.
Rono is telling you Joachim is an intellectual joker. Joachim, NIF helps avoid external debt. Why insist we face it when it's being resolved? You are stuck.
So how do you resolve debt by avoiding it? Rono is the same person who told me the other day. He was here in this comment section. He told me what? There is something he said.
Yeah, I remember Rono, but let's forget about what is water under the bridge. Let's talk about him telling you that you're an intellectual joker and that Joachim NIF helps avoid external debt.
How do we
Why
avoid
insist we face it when it is being resolved? You are stuck in intelligence trap.
I want Rono to pay a lot of attention when I say this. In our budget that we are going to have in June, we already have a projected borrow deficit of more than $1 trillion. Out of our revenue, which is estimated to be 2.3 in the next financial year, 2.8 to be very generous. We have a budget of around 6 trillion. So when you get 2.8 trillion from taxes, you have a deficit of more than $1 trillion for you to now fill the deficit of your budget. So how do you raise the 1 trillion? A small percentage of it will come from grants, but most of it will come from borrowing. So the National Infrastructure Fund is not stopping us from borrowing. We will still borrow even as we sell the national assets to finance the National Infrastructure Fund. According to me, we are compounding our problem. Because on the other side, debt continues growing. On the other side, we are selling what we have to put in a bottomless abyss that we cannot even ask questions.
So you're moving from explicit debt exposure to implicit ones.
Yes, debt of the book.
So Dennis Mongare is saying that Jagero, please note on matters of finance, Joachim is clueless. Please bring David Ndii to explain NIF. But we just
David Ndii, who is being paid not to be clever. David Ndii earns a salary from not being clever. What makes Mongare think that David Ndii will come to be clueful now that I'm clueless? I'm not interrogating finance. I'm interrogating how the country should conduct itself around financing their projects. I'm not here as an expert. What is wrong with Kenyans? I'm here as a political commentator, that we have a country that is where we want to go and how we must be doing things. So Mongare is saying that when we say that bypassing the control of budget is being clueless in finance.
But I also don't understand Kenyans and this idea of experts. Because even Mbadi, when he's talking about this same infrastructure,
he keeps on saying he's an expert.
No, but he's also saying that this one will be overseen by experts, by eminent Kenyans. But when I studied, I said Ochuka is an economist.
Yes.
So because they haven't seen Ochuka,
on this gallivanting around the media.
Yeah, talking I think people of the internet, we just have to. In fact, this is a problem that we have always had as Kenyans, that we think that some things are out of our purview.
But it's also how
like we cannot talk about some specific
Mongare
things.
is somewhere in Kisii.
No. You are also you are too
You're falling into the trap.
Yeah,
You're falling into the trap.
You are too arrogant.
Let me not get into
I think
the
the whole
trap.
idea is sometimes politicians have this way of infantilizing the nation. When they start when they stand on podiums, and then now they'll look at you as very clueless people. But at the end of the day, expertise is a reflection of a pool of wisdom.
Yeah.
In other words, if you are an expert in economics in America, you might fail very terribly when you come to Kenya.
They brought specialists of Scotland Yard to come here and investigate the death of Julie Ward.
Julie Ward, yeah.
Scotland Yard, respected detectives. When they got here, they failed terribly.
Go ahead. There is something you are saying.
Because our cultures are very different, and even how we see things, how we see finances is also a reflection of our policies. If you do not communicate to the person on the ground, and that's why sometimes people who are too bookish, they end up not connecting with the common mwananchi because there's a very huge disconnect between what they know and what applies in that particular field or subject, and vis-a-vis the person on the ground that is living that experience.
Yes.
Because, and that is the problem, because Sam Gituku was with the guy himself, Mr. Mbadi, and they couldn't agree.
They couldn't agree. They
couldn't understand. Because Sam Gituku could not understand what C.S. Mbadi was trying to explain. He was talking about eminence. He was talking about very difficult terms.
Whenever you push him on the wall, he tells you what his profession is.
He goes technical.
Yes. He goes into technical jargon and remind you of the year he graduated. So that you are like, you might actually be knowing what
the other day, the university, those people with the torn t-shirts at the University of Nairobi were abusing us. Do you remember? At that place where we went with the Honorable Widi to eat.
Do
you remember them talking about archaeology?
Yes.
And saying that we know
professors of archaeology and history.
Yeah, you have your colleagues.
You see,
you're on the line.
I get so pissed when you have very good academic credentials, but you cannot sustain a general topic, a general life discussion. That for you to make sense as a professor of anthropology,
you have to be
we have to be talking about anthropology for you to make sense.
Right.
No, I think for you to be a remarkable Kenyan or a human being, you must have the ability to know something about everything, even as you know everything about something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think intelligent people are usually curious to know more
about something else.
Apart from what they really do. So when I find somebody who is intellectually endowed in some particular field, but does not seem to understand other parts of life, then I am like, how are you even a
They're generally impaired.
Yeah, they really looked down upon me and Simiyu because we were not professors.
Yes.
They kept going back saying I'm archaeology. And then this gentleman asked him, so what book have you written about archaeology?
Yes.
And he was so pissed off. And he was like, you don't ask me books I have written. You ask me the books I have read.
Yes. Why are you?
Because that is his vulnerability.
Yes. That's where.
You see, every academic, every philosopher has a philosopher's stone.
Yes.
Philosopher's stone is what kills the bird.
Yes.
So when you're cornered, you return to your philosopher's stone. And you realize you don't have the 3 stones. You only have 1.
Yeah.
So it cannot hold the pot.
It cannot.
And it's very true. I think sometimes as Kenyans, this is also something that we really need to even challenge back at our viewers and audience. There's this idea that mimi sijui. I think we should move away from it. Just like if you like, I was explaining yesterday what fiscal means. Fiscal means like it's just fiscal generally discipline. A basket. If you are a father, Jagero, you go back home, you know, and you're being told, we are lacking this, we are lacking this, we are lacking this, and then at the end of the month, you sit down with your wife and realize, okay, now we are visualizing our home, and we are realizing that if we put money here. And money here.
Yes.
And we're also relating with our neighbors.
Yes.
So we're not just dealing with finances, we're also dealing with church, we're also dealing with agriculture, we're also dealing with a very rowdy neighbor who's leaving goats to come and eat our farm. So at the end of the day, I think that's just what politics is. You don't have to know the expert terms of what politics or finance is. But you have to know that at the end of the day, every political decision ends up affecting you directly. And whatever you say, whether it is wrong or not, even if you're wrong, sometimes that being wrong is what leads you to the right path.
To the right path.
To knowing something. To knowing how that directly affects you.
You might not be an expert in finance. But decisions appertaining finance will affect you, whether you are an expert there or not. You must not be a lawyer to know the law. Because failure of knowing the law will affect you in one way or another.
And when they take you to they take you to court, they say ignorance
of the law is punishable. It's no defense in court of law.
Yeah.
You can't say I did know killing is bad.
There is a gentleman that actually was that went to the KRA offices in Kisumu.
Yes.
And told a friend of mine starting a water business, and got a very beautiful lady at the KRA offices in Kisumu at the LBDA mall.
Yes.
And he told the guy, the lady, that I want you to tell me everything I need to know about the taxes that I need to pay before I start this business. And this lady took her, to the best of her knowledge, everything he needed. Turns out the lady was actually an intern at the Kisumu office.
Yes.
So there are things she did not understand.
Yes.
And therefore did not relay them to the gentleman. 4 months into his business, the KRA went to his place where he was making water and put a bolt on the door. And he said, but surely.
I thought I paid everything.
I came to the office and everything was explained to me. And then the officer asked him, who explained to you?
The lady at the office.
Yes. What is her name? And then he said, oh, that was an intern. Come to the office. Let's agree.
Yeah.
And when he went to the office, he realized that he had 370,000
pending, unpaid.
To pay 4 months into spending 3.6 million. And that business went down and he sold the water machine. In fact,
he couldn't agree with the taxman?
No. KRA is very difficult to agree with. He was told that this is the amount, for you to open, you need to pay this amount. But remember the 3.6 or thereabout was also coming from debt. So he needed a national infrastructure fund.
What a punchline.
To settle the KRA mess.
You see, so you can see very well that if he took his time to understand, not relying on D.
Yeah, you see. And that's why when you want to start a fish pond, most of the money you must spend it on understanding how to run the fish pond. At the beginning of this show, I was whispering to you some business idea of trading somewhere. If I get into that idea, pop with 500,000 shillings, I'm most likely to make very bad decisions.
Yes.
So I have to listen to the people who have been doing it, how they have been
because I did it and failed.
Yes, because and it's very good to listen to someone who did it and failed, because now you get to understand why they failed, so that you don't do why they did.
What they did.
So some people think that because they stay, I don't know, I don't want to be sarcastic, but.
You're gonna be sarcastic.
I think this is the place to.
You can read the.
Yeah, somebody saying Joachim may not be the best financial analyst in any manner, but he gives the viewers a layman way of understanding financial systems and decision, and that I disagree with Sila. Yes, the person that was abusing you. So that was the Kato Jones also disagreeing and saying. Somebody is saying, Muzungu, Joachim, don't overreact to team weight. So people of the internet, it has been amazing. We started at almost 8 p.m. I think 7 8 p.m., right? So this is Joachim. Joachim is a political commentator, an analyst, and Joachim really reads a lot. If you look at the kind of things that we have been sharing throughout the day,
yes,
up to 3 documents that we have been sharing, we are looking at all these things. We have done a lot of research, and we also have the other person that is researching on the other end, the good lady, Vasht.
I don't know whether we will do an episode of behind the scenes so that they get to understand.
Yeah.
What
before
goes
we
on.
sit here,
Yes.
there is some in-digging we've done.
Yeah,
because my role on this podcast
Yeah.
is not to be an expert. I understand that there are so many Kenyans out there who we will lose them when we get into technicalities.
Yeah.
So there have to be a blend of technical and layman's understanding.
Yeah.
So that a person who has never made it out of Busia can listen to this podcast and make sense, and is like, oh, so that's how it happened.
That is how it happened.
And I'm glad that some of the people, and most of them, I think, understand that is usually my role.
Yeah. So before Joachim rudely interrupted, I was giving flowers to Priska Vasht, who is the one who researches and comes up with the videos that we are playing. So thank you very much. Today she doesn't have a mic. People of the internet, you'd have heard her sweet voice. We have Obunga, the man who is in charge of sound, who is in charge of the technicals, who is in charge of the cameras. He's basically the producer designate on this podcast. We have Mwalimu, Mr. Omondi Ochuka, the man that if you want to know about Omondi Ochuka, and they are talking about us not having what? This is a health economist.
Yes.
And he has written a book called The Precursor and Unfolding. So this is somebody who has written a big book and is an economist. So people of the internet.
I think I was suggesting to him the other day that as a way of us marketing this book so that Kenyans understand the intellectual depth of the people on this podcast.
Yeah.
You can agree on how you put them between their videos.
Yes, between the videos. Yes,
so that people understand. They will. I know he will make an insane number of sales.
Yeah,
and
so people are already asking me, by the way.
Yes.
How they can get the book.
And you stand to benefit a lot.
Yeah, it is how many chapters? It is actually 41 chapters.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And I am glad that I am, as a man who never went to school, I am mentioned at the beginning of the book. Special thanks to Dorothy Tolo Udurjagero.
Yes.
And so this is a great book that everybody should read. I am actually the one who wrote the foreword.
Yes.
You know, I wrote the foreword.
Very nice, very nice. I will give him to proofread and
your book.
My book.
Okay, so people of the internet, it's been really nice. I've talked about Obunga. There is also a gentleman that is cutting the videos. His name is Mr. Frank. He's also sometimes the guy that is in charge of Mitambo when Obunga is doing other things. We also have Peter Clinton. Yeah, Peter Clinton, the man that is... They're all Gen Zs, by the way.
All Gen Zs.
This thing is powered by Gen Zs. All of them are Gen Zs.
Very nice.
And they are doing a very good job. When we talk about Gen Zs and the future of this country, we always remember them very well. We also have the lady that is always in charge of logistics, Achieng. Yes, and we also have the gentleman that is in charge of things that are around
fixer.
here. Yeah, we call him the fixer.
The fixer is such a bad term. It's a scandalous term.
Yeah, but he does
it. Yes, he does it.
But there has to be someone handling the end of the road.
Yeah, that's the end of the road. And of course, in this podcast, we also have the gentleman that is always here, Mr. Odhiambo Tieno, who is currently doing consultation for the county government of Kakamega. Yeah, and he was at Makerere University. So those are the people that are running this podcast. We have a lot of, and people of the internet, those are the people that are making us sit down here and talk. And from this desk, I want to specifically thank you very much.
I had forgotten.
Yeah.
Their incoming head of state said hi.
Mr. Ojiki.
Yeah, Mr. Ojiki said hi. He was live. I didn't know he was watching live.
He was watching live.
He promised to make a call next time and say something.
Okay.
To the Kenyan
Thank you,
people.
Mr. Wanjigi. Please come out of the bunker. Your SG has promised us that after Ramadan,
Easter, we are counting after Easter, bro.
By the way, you have less than 10 days. Today is on our
I am
wedding day.
sticking to Ramadan. That is what the SG told me. So people of the internet, thank you very much. If you are watching and you are not subscribed, please subscribe. If you want to give us money, please send us the money. Obunga had put a till number here.
Yeah.
But
I told you this thing long time ago.
Obunga put it, but he keeps removing it.
There, it should be permanent.
No, it should not be permanent.
Oh, okay.
No, it can't be permanent.
No, it should be running when it's live.
No, not all the time, bro.
Timed. Timed.
Yes. Space it, bro. Yeah. Space it. You in job one.
Sequence.
You in job.
Come out what
the whole
time.
This conversation is better held behind the scenes.
So I agree. So people of the internet, thank you very much. We want to leave you now and say a big good night. Keep safe. Tomorrow we are here again. And we are talking about something very, very interesting.
Very interesting.
In fact, what we will do, by the way, we will be linking the research that we have done.
So that the people of the internet
to every
can get a
episode
chance.
that we've done. Because, in fact, a lot of people asked me for the research that we did on the other one. What were we doing? The IEBC.
The IEBC.
A lot of people asked me for that.
Yeah.
And a day before that, we had also talked about something very...
we were talking about the Auditor General's report on the counties.
On the counties. A lot of people were interested in that.
I already have a 7,000 article on Medium about the IEBC. I'll be adding more resources on it. So please check it.
So these people have a habit of reading. And you saw there's someone who said that if you would want to hide something from the Kenyan people,
put it in a book.
Hide it in a book. That's why even during Maandamano, owners of bookshops usually
they were need of stress.
All right, people of the internet, until another episode. Bye.
Thank you so much. All right.
You work so hard. You show up every day. You do what's expected of you. But deep down, you know the truth. One paycheck shouldn't decide how your life turns out. But what if your evenings meant progress? What if your weekends built freedom? What if your laptop became more than just a screen? This isn't about quitting your job. It's about giving yourself options. While others crawl, you start building. Quietly, consistently, and on your own terms. No pressure, no guessing. Just a clear system you can run after work, before work, or whenever life gives you a turn. That's what Goldmine on hustlesafrica.com is for.